Oh, can you not breathe while you're listening to that beautiful chorus? This incredible women's group of a cappella, and all their songs are this high, high frequency of love. We're going to play a little bit more of Beautiful Chorus later in the show. That was, of course, Breathe It In. Tonight, I'm so excited. We're talking about how to co-create with the universe, with divine feminine. We're going to look at ritual, what its value is, why it's so important, listening to the divine feminine at this point in herstory. First time I've ever been able to use that word. I love it, herstory, because it is. We're in a very epic time. I mean, things are very unusual right now. And I think the call for the feminine is essential. So we're going to be talking about an event that's coming up in order to do just that, which is May 8th, 7:30 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's called Dancing with the Moon, Sacred Rebels Claim Their True Power. It's an online event where we're going to be tapping into the radiance of the moon. But let me introduce you to our guests first. So joining us tonight, Daniela Abidrabo and Faiza Choudhury. Daniela is a registered professional counselor. She is the founder of One Stop Therapy. She's worked in the corporate world with powerful female leaders for years, but her own search for fulfillment and meaning had her become a counselor. And so she's grown this thriving practice, recently launching her new baby, One Stop Therapy, which is an online directory so overdue, where we've got body, mind, soul, all the practitioners, healers coming together and talking about what they offer and workshops. So this beautiful directory. She's also one of 3 sisters and has always been able to powerfully connect women with each other, whether it's for dancing, painting, reading, or healing. Her passion for drawing down the moon is part of an intention to create a new and exciting community for women. Also joining us, Faiza Choudhury. She's a certified teacher and an apprentice at FLIC, which is Female Laboratory of Innovative Knowledge. I love that name. She's leveraging her background in education to connect with female entrepreneurs. Her passion for human connection and personal development led her to an apprenticeship with One Stop Therapy, Daniela's platform. And since she's been working with her and working on empowering women to heal, planting the seeds of sisterhood, vulnerability, and courage by developing an online community for women to claim their power. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thank you, Tasha.
Thank you so much for having us here.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So am I, and I'm really excited to introduce you, Tasha. So our host today is Tasha Sims, who's the host of Conscious Living on Co-op Radio 100.
Which is this show.
Yes.
Yes.
0.7 FM. She is a transpersonal therapist and holds a master's degree in counseling psychology, working in downtown Vancouver, as well as online with both individuals and couples. She loves using her creativity as an actor, writer, and educator to design workshops and experiences that invite passionate expression and acceptance of the authentic self. Tasha is the author of the Body Awareness Training, a series of sensoring meditations where she guides you into your body container to feel and fully accept yourself. I personally met Tasha in one of her body awareness trainings, and it made a huge difference in my life and for my healing. And I am so excited for everyone else to experience what Tasha has to offer.
Thanks, Daniela. I'm excited too. And Faiza, you're the one who initially brought the idea of working with the moon specifically and the divine feminine, brought it to the radar. So tell us about how that happened for you.
Yeah, first of all, Tasha, such an honor to be here, such an honor to be able to work with both of you wonderful ladies on this really powerful event that has been a team effort. I think what a time to be alive, right? It's COVID-19, stress, grief, boredom, lack of motivation. Everyone's feeling it, and we're all feeling that energy, right? I think everyone's got some sort of healing and growing to do, but what I'm noticing in my generation with millennials, and particularly ages, the mid-20s to the mid-30s, we don't know where to start, right? The common theme is we all want belonging, we want a sense of connection, and I think that's really the purpose of starting Moon Circles, where we can connect with the feminine energy around the world in true sisterhood. being vulnerable and showing that vulnerability is okay. So I think my passion and my purpose is truly in healing myself and healing those around me and healing my sisters and bringing all of us up together.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And so how then did it happen? That's your why, that's your intention, but how did it happen? What was the birth of Dancing with the Moon, Sacred Rebels Claim Their Power?
So I actually have a little ritual book at home that I cracked open a few months ago, and there's a chapter in it about the moon. And so that's where I first started learning about the moon and its energy and how calming it is. And there's a ritual in there called moon bathing, where you walk outside and it just calms your central nervous system down.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was very
best
powerful.
To do in the forest naked.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's true.
There you go. And so for me, when I cracked open that book and learned about this simple ritual, I really felt that more people needed to know this. Mm-hmm. So when I connected with Daniela through One Stop Therapy, and she was super supportive on getting me to jump on any kind of project and passion that I had, women's circles and connecting with women was something that was I was always passionate about, and I wanted to learn more about moon rituals. So I brought that up to Daniela, who then told me that, Tasha Sims would be the perfect person to teach us about moon energy, healing with the moon, dancing in the moon, and doing that with women around the world. So that's kind of the birth of Dancing with the Moon with Tasha Sims.
So let's talk about ritual, because not everybody knows what that is. I mean, to me, the absence of ritual in our society is profound. Indigenous culture always understood how powerful it was. And they were rites of passage, whether it was birth or becoming a teenager or, going out into the world. There was, marriage is a rite of passage. All these ceremonies have been mainstreamed, the ones that remain, and sometimes don't have a whole lot of depth and meaning, but the original focus on a ritual would be a way to, they certainly ease anxiety and create a sense of belonging and increase confidence and awareness of who you really are. But having lost touch, especially for adolescents, is where it's like, what happens as an adolescent? You break away from the family, but then there's no, where do you belong? What about that? And I believe that's why gangs occur, because there's a sense of belonging and there's a code of ethics almost that you subscribe to. I'm not saying it's a good one, but it's something, as opposed to coming out. And as you mentioned, in your 20s, it's like this vast world out there, but without any kind of mentoring or community to say, who are you? Let me support you to be whatever it is you need to be. And so if we're talking about the beauty of ritual and working with this kind of energy, what do you think? What's your take on what's important when people participate in a ritual?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to the term of ritual, my understanding is that ritual is a practice, right? So whether that's meditating, or you choose to pray, or you choose to plant seeds, whatever it is, whatever your ritual is, the practice of doing it consistently. And that's the beauty of connecting it with the moon, right? There's a moon cycle and you have the new moon and the full moon coming consistently each month. And so the practice of connecting to the new moon and connecting to the full moon in order to do these rituals of say burning things away that no longer serve you, or manifesting and consistently doing that every month, I think is bringing more awareness to what it is that no longer serves you and to what it is that you want to reach in terms of your dreams and goals. And I think it's just so beautifully connected to the moon cycle in terms of ritual and consistency.
Okay, so Daniela, we want to hear from you too. And we're using a lot of terms that, like I say, may not be familiar with people. Divine feminine even. It's like, what is that? So maybe we could dive into that and how you perceive the divine feminine, what that is for you.
Divine feminine for me. Wow. So I think for me, it's really looking at the feminine within all of us. So whether you're male, female, and recognizing those parts of us and owning them, like really fully choosing them, owning them, and being empowered by them. And I think there's so much beauty into the feminine qualities, the nurturing, the gentleness, there's so many beautiful qualities, and not all of us own them. And I feel like when you do own them, you're able to touch into this divine part of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I totally agree that these energies are not in your body because you're born female.
Yeah.
They're the masculine, the feminine, and that's why we really wanted Mark here too. Mark, who produces Conscious Living Radio. At one point he was saying, oh, I'll let you gals, talk about this divine feminine. But the truth is what this planet needs is a balance between those two energies in everybody's body. I mean, everybody's body. And if maybe we could get into describing it a little bit, to me, the feminine, which is equal to saying the heart. Speaking the language of the heart, I would love to give our listeners some actual concrete points where they can recognize within themselves, oh, that's my heart. That's how my heart talks. That's how the feminine, the divine feminine in me speaks and gets my attention. And certainly one of the characteristics is it's receptive. It's open and receptive. The masculine is action oriented. Both, you can see how both are essential. But when you look at our planet and you look at what has been serving what, it's as if the feminine got pushed down and the masculine lays on top of it in patriarchy. And power, because we use the word power also, power becomes something over another something. And that happens inside yourself. It's not just men and women out there in the world. It's internally. So the masculine will press down or subjugate the feminine in the body even, which is why we're scared to feel our feelings, why we're not completely undefended and flowing and open. We need to know, we need to strategize. So I mean, part of my intention for this ritual is to dissolve that and bring people to a place where they can say, I want to put this in balance inside me, and then I want to land in, how do I express that in the world? So it switches, and the masculine now is supporting the feminine in you to say, how do I, men and women, serve my heart? That's how it lands for me.
I love this, Tasha. And, for me personally, I come from the corporate world where I was very much in my masculine, and I was doing really well. But on the inside, I was so broken, and I didn't understand why.
Right.
And it's not until I started to following some rituals and connecting with my heart and learning to be okay with the unknown, learning to surrender, learning to flow and allowing, that I was able to find myself again, and I was able to completely change careers. And now I'm balancing both the feminine and the masculine, but also I find myself being a lot more at peace and a lot more joyful and a lot more at ease.
You absolutely cannot tap into divine anything, feminine or masculine, because there's a divine masculine too. And I like the word distorted. In this world, there's a distorted feminine. And I challenge everyone to start to bust those assumptions, because distorted feminine, not so pretty. And we could name what that looks like. There's a distorted masculine, that's patriarchy. But there's a divine feminine and a divine masculine. And the beauty, like I get tears when a person is in touch with their divine masculine and willing to serve the heart of something that benefits everyone. I mean, it is powerful and necessary. So if you're only in your feminine, it's kind of, you're in a state of being. You could flow all you want, but nothing happens. And if you're only in your masculine, it's like you're saying in the corporate world, there you are, super successful. You've got the paycheck, but you're not actually content, because there is no meaning and depth and service in what you're doing. So the marriage of those two, I think, for me, is definitely one of the intentions of this ritual. And I wonder if we can now substitute the word divine feminine for heart and give people some characteristics of how they know the heart is talking inside you versus your ego. Anybody
Yeah,
want to jump in with that?
I think Daniela had a really great point, that speaking to the heart is all about learning to be okay with the unknown and leaning into that discomfort. And Tasha, you said it so beautifully in our marketing for the workshop, and I'd like to read what you had to say about
Well, that piece, you're going to read the Sacred Rebel piece.
Yes.
So that's a different question, because that's not, I think there's a difference between just the characteristics of coming from your heart and what is a sacred rebel. Can we finish with the heart, and then we're going to ask you what is a sacred rebel, and you could do that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
I'd love to put something else about the heart.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the things that made a huge difference coming from the heart is accepting all parts of myself.
Yeah.
And that's something, Tasha, you taught me like 4 or 5 years ago. And it made a huge difference, because the culture that I come from, the religion that I come from, we're very hard on ourselves. And there's a lot of expectations. And me learning how to just accept and be with and all parts of who I am made a huge difference. And I think that's really coming from the heart.
Mm-hmm. And living in the present, right? Everything is right now. So you can notice that when your head's tripping, worrying about the future, or you're, running over and over what has happened in the past, you're not in the now. You're not in the sensation of the breath right now in your body, exactly as it is. And as soon as you tap into that, the heart begins to soften. The heart can open. The heart actually has a language that will bring you intuitive information, images, words, colors, feelings. And that's what we're going to follow in the ritual, as opposed to your head. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the other piece for me that's important to recognize ego. And there's nothing wrong with ego either. Let's not make ego the bad guy. But it's like a knowing that there's something bigger than my personality. My personality is essential, and it is who I am, and I can accept all parts of me. And there's something bigger that is collective. It's not just personal. And that collective energy, when that's included in a ritual, because that's what we call on, and included in our heart opening, and included to receive the parts of ourselves that we might have difficulty with, that we might struggle with. Like you say, you mentioned your inner critic. You learn how to relate to it in a loving way. That part of you is in all of us. And when you tap into that collective, that's the divine feminine working through you, going, you know what? Yeah, I've got this part that's hurting, and I'm going to embrace it. I don't need to change it. I don't need to make it wrong. I'm going to let it be here. And as soon as you do, it dissolves in terms of the tension. It starts to flow, and you identify as something bigger than your personality. So we've got to take a really quick break. We're going to play another beautiful track of music from Beautiful Chorus. And when we come back, I want to talk about the actual steps of this ritual, Dancing with the Moon. And also it's in the title, Sacred Rebels. That's what we're calling ourselves. So that's where, Faiza, I'd love you to jump in and define Sacred Rebels, or whatever you want to do, because it's I love those two words together. And I think when you're standing for something and it's sacred, that has meaning and depth. So you're listening to Conscious Living Radio 100.5 FM in Vancouver. Co-op Radio. Here's Beautiful Chorus, Pachamama.
I wanna be free, so free, like a feather blowing through the breeze, like a bird in a tree, like a dolphin in the sea. I wanna fly high, so high, like an eagle in the sky. And when my time has come, I'll let it all go with a sigh. Pachamama. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. I wanna be free, be me, be the only being that I see. Not to rise, not to fall, be at one with love and all. There is no high, no low, there's nowhere else to go except inside your heart and be just who you are. Pachamama, coming home Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong.
I didn't want to come back. I was leaving. You're listening to Conscious Living Radio, 100.5 FM, Co-op Radio in Vancouver. And we're talking with Daniela and Faiza, and Mark is here somewhere, our producer. And we're talking about ritual. We're talking about an upcoming event, May 8th, Friday, 7:30 till 9, where we're inviting you all to join us for a Zoom online ritual. And basically, you know, we're going to describe it for you so you can picture it. But it definitely will be a process of letting go, a process of, it's going to start with once you register, an email that tells you how to prepare. And the first step of preparing is to create some sacred space, or what we're calling your altar. And this is an area that there's no right way to do it. It's an expression of you and your heart and what gives you pleasure, but it's a place that you would go to meditate. It's a place you would go to do ritual, to bring solace to yourself or nourishment to yourself. You might have oracle cards there, definitely a candle. In our ritual, where you're going to have a container where you do a letting go ceremony and burn little bits of paper and dab them in honey, so you're letting go with sweetness. This altar is up to you to create, and you'll get way more instruction on how to do that. But basically, you start with setting an intention. We're going to do that personally. We're going to do that collectively. And we're going to join energetically, creating this container. And sorry, I jumped into the steps without asking you about Sacred Rebels. So we're calling on people to come and join us. And so really the question is, what is a Sacred Rebel? And it's like saying, who is this for? Who are the people that this is for? And although we use the pronoun she, we mean the she in all of us, just so we're clear.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say in terms of Sacred Rebel, I mean, when you're ready, you know you're ready to kind of come into your power. You're curious and you're ready to meet yourself with curiosity. And Tasha, again, you so beautifully describe what a Sacred Rebel is for everyone who will be registering, and they'll receive an email and they will receive this beautiful description of what a Sacred Rebel is. And it really resonates with me, and I'd like to share with our listeners, and hopefully it resonates with everybody listening. But she is wild with courage even when afraid. A Sacred Rebel faces her shadow and owns it. She meets all parts of herself with loving curiosity. She is the source of her knowing, the authority over her life and decisions. She is intimate with her authentic core, part of the creative revolution, both inside and out. Her yes is a portal to discovery. Her no is a complete sentence. She doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. She shines and dances with the moon.
I love it. I love it. And I love that part of me. And I think it's important to say for all of us, we're not always that. And that's the point. You don't have to be something you're not. You just have to locate that part of you, because it's that part of you that will love all the other parts, right? As opposed to being in the part, you tap into this rebel, meaning you're going, no, it's inside me. The answers are here. I don't have to follow someone. I don't believe. I'm not a follower. I've never been a good follower. And I don't advocate anyone following. I'm saying, I'll help you get into your body, and then you follow you. You follow your heart. You start to learn this language inside you so you can feel powerful. And so let's just keep going with the steps. Definitely what I just described is tapping into the body. It's going to be a deep meditation with incredible music. And you will feel the places in your body that are obstacles to flowing with the heart. And that's where I said you're going to write them on a little piece of paper, dab it in honey, burn it in your safe container. We want it safe. We don't want fire alarms going off in the middle of it. And once you've cleared the body, there's space for something new to enter. You don't have to pre-plan this. In that moment, as you listen to your heart, you will begin to get information about the kind of person that you're being called to be now that those obstacles are gone. And then I want to go through an imagining process. It's called future pacing. It actually, Mark, you will know this. It's NLP, where you will feel yourself as this person 5 years into the future, 10 years into the future, maybe 20 years, haven't decided yet. But the sense of this container we're going to create, although we're online, energy moves by intention. Faiza, Daniela, and I are going to create this circle. We're going to call in the 4 directions and literally create an energetic container that holds you so you can go into your own body container in your own space at your own altar and do the ritual, express the ritual as you listen to this beautiful music and are guided into a deep body trance. And then when we close our circle, we continue with, there'll be some journaling you can do at your altar, but most importantly, if a ritual is just an event, in my opinion, there's no point. Process that is extended now to the world, and hopefully we'll land in that too. What are you meant to now bring out? What action, this knowing, what action would demonstrate it? And that would be your masculine now serving the feminine. That's a lot.
That is a lot. And that is so exciting. And so, I mean, I want to add to that personally, my intention for this, first of all, Faiza, thank you so much for bringing this up. When Faiza came to me with this idea, I was so excited, and I knew, Tasha, you would be perfect for this. And I'm so grateful that we're creating this event for our community of sacred rebels. And my intention for this is for people that are curious. I love when Faiza said this. I want you all to know that this is for you. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with. It doesn't matter if you're happy or stuck. It doesn't matter what you believe in. We just want we invite you to be open and curious. And we are excited to create a very safe space for you to have community and for you to discover something new that's available for you.
What do you think the greatest skill maybe to participate fully in Dancing with the Moon would be?
I think openness, just showing up, being open and allowing for something new to show up.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, our heads get really active and they want to know, and analyze everything. So we'll even work with that, and we'll let you take your heads out of your bodies and put them beside you so they can watch, but they're not going to lead this process. So the music I want to touch on for a sec, because that took me, I went into a deep dive, and I take my music seriously, I guess you could say, so that then I can take it playfully. But the choosing of this music, it's so, we all know that certain vibrations, certain sounds promote relaxation and calming and can alleviate anxiety. Just the music itself is going to do that. If you came to this ritual and you didn't even do the other things, but you allowed that music to wash into your body. It was created by Christopher Clark, who is an Australian healer, sound music therapist. He's been meditating since the 90s. And so all his music is brought through him. And you might say, Christopher, it sounds like a guy. Again, because he's tapped into his feminine. 100% when you hear this music, you'll recognize it. It's heart opening. And that's for the first half of Letting Go. And then a little bit of celebration comes in with another piece of music that's called Tribal Eve. I'm super excited about it because I know how powerful the addition of music can be to your breath and to your softening in your body. How about you guys? Have you had, do you resonate that way with music?
I love what you just said, Tasha. I remember that in your body awareness training, when we would be processing things, the music was what took me from one place to another. It made a complete difference. Sorry. I see the value in having the perfect sound, and I'm so excited for people to have access to what you have prepared for them, and and see what they can release just by using the right music.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about serving the heart, and I don't believe we can really get to the core essence and serve the heart without music, right?
Yeah. Well, we haven't asked Mark anything. I think we need to have a little round of you know what I want to ask you, Mark? Mark is our producer for this radio show, Conscious Living.
Are you asking me to guess?
No. Oh, okay.
No,
okay,
I don't
that
know.
sounds
You
like
said
fun.
you want to know what
that.
I want to ask you. It's like, I don't know. Is this a guessing game?
No.
But go ahead. You just ask.
I want to ask you, how do you, because I know you understand these concepts, how does the masculine in you serve the feminine in you?
Well, really, for me, it's just about holding a safe and sacred space and allowing the feminine to really blossom and be free. Ultimately, anybody around me, it's important that you're free, masculine or feminine, that you express yourself authentically. And with women specifically in the divine feminine, the most important thing for me is to not be chasing or lusting or desiring or any of that, so that women can be free, because I've heard...
But are you lusting and chasing the feminine in you? I only want to talk about in you, not outside of you. Because it has to start there, and then we move to what do we do in the world with
I'm
this?
a pretty deep and feeling guy. I'm a Pisces. We're pretty emotional and quite sensitive. So I think I'm pretty in touch with my own feminine. And even that being said, I'm probably live more in a feminine energy than even a masculine energy in that sense, in a level of being of service and of caring and of, being outside of myself in that way. So that's how I see it for me, and really be loving, caring.
I hear you say it translates to a kind of creating safety and respect for women outside of you. Right?
I want all women to be, feel safe and be safe just wherever they are, and especially in my presence and things of that nature. So there's I've seen some things, I've heard some things, and I just don't want to be seen as that guy. So I just want to allow people to be safe and, have that space that they can be themselves, instead of wondering if they're being, lack of a better word, but what came to mind was being preyed on.
Well, that feeling of being preyed on is part of the distorted masculine that we talked about earlier. And the distorted feminine, I mean, it's okay. It's very flaky and competitive and can be backstabbing. It's not direct and in your face. I almost would prefer at least the masculine, I can see it coming, right? No problem pulling out that knife in front of me. But when it's coated in pretend and coated in sweetness, and it tricks you, that's distorted feminine energy. It's really, we have so much mythology about that. But really my question, and I think for all of us, because, how do we challenge the notions of masculine, feminine beyond gender and call upon this marriage inside ourselves, that then it needs to be translated in the world? Let's talk about the world. What could that look like? What does the world need if we had this marriage internally? What would we do differently in the world?
Are you asking me?
Everybody.
Well, I'll go first.
Brainstorm. Sure.
Because I think in my world anyways, my perception is a respect for all people and all living things in the world and the planet, and to be able to see each other, this, as different as we all are, as one and part of a collective spirit. That being said, I also think that, we just need to care for each other more and be mindful of that without letting our ego get in our way, or our own self-importance, so that we have a space so that we can grow and be our authentic self and speak truly and freely, and create a space in the world that is literally and completely free in the most truthful essence of that word. Because even if we think we're free today, we're not free, especially today, you know, and there's a freedom that comes in all of what we do, in our masculinity, in our femininity, and in our divine self. And it starts, that respect starts with ourself first, right? And that love, respect, and appreciation for ourselves, knowing that we are okay.
Yeah.
And then sharing that with everybody else instead of, you know, that distorted thing you kind of talk about.
Daniela, Faiza?
I love that. And I think to add to what Mark said, acceptance of how people show up in any way so people can actually be free. I think that we need to normalize forgiveness, compassion. I think these, it's so important for the world to accept forgiveness instead of perceiving it as weakness. Compassion, accepting compassion instead of perceiving it as weakness. And I think that when we start giving people permission and the freedom to show up in any way, just imagine what the world would look like if we had more forgiveness and compassion.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautifully said from both of you, for sure. I think in terms of the masculine and the feminine being in a marriage, how would our world look? I do believe that just accepting and being more in the present, right? Not chasing that future and not getting attached to that past, and especially in these times with COVID-19 and kind of feeling everyone starting to slow down and reflect and realize, well, we don't know when this is all going to end, and we don't know what the future or the new normal is going to look like. All we have is now, and what are we doing to focus on the now and accept our situation, right?
And, you know, that's the language of the heart, now, only now. And one of my favorite phrases, and we'll probably use it in the ritual, it's what I ask myself if parts of me are activated or I'm triggered. I always ask myself, what would love do now? What would love see? What would love hear in the situation? What would love do? And so it's calling my heart to action, both the feminine, my heart, my feeling of love, and action, meaning there will be something that comes out of my mouth or is a demonstration of that is active in the world. And that's the masculine supporting the feminine.
I love that.
So here's a question. What do you think of this statement? It's an interesting one. Consciousness will conform to whatever rules or beliefs you hold. Consciousness, so the consciousness of our planet, will conform, or inside you, will conform to whatever rules or beliefs you hold. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that whatever is happening on the inside of me shows up on the outside, is what I perceive on the outside. So if I'm experiencing being hard on myself, the world is going to be experienced as being hard on myself. So that's why I love the work that we're talking about in looking at starting with ourselves on the inside.
Right.
And I also think that's why, in particular, this ritual and these events are so important, because Tasha's going to kind of lead us into letting go of things that no longer serve us. And I kind of wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit and get, you know, if everyone can share maybe one thing that you would let go of or you would burn away, and what no longer serves you, so that we can be vulnerable and hold that safe and sacred space for everyone. So I mean, for me, especially in this time, right, where on social media or on the news or our friends and family, people are really pushing productivity, and what version are you going to be once everything is done? And I think what I'm really letting go is that my productivity does not equal my worth.
Yes, sister. Love it. Well, I'll go next. I think for me, it's interesting. Someone asked me, I was telling them about the ritual. I said, oh yeah, May 8th, you got to join us. It's a Friday, la, la, la. And she said, well, what are you letting go of? And I was just taken aback because I was so in creation mode. I hadn't yet asked myself. I guess I would have done it during, I don't know. But I realized it's not a head answer. It's a question that you have to percolate with. And it didn't take long before the answer kind of just literally rose up. And the word I heard, because I'm very auditory, was trying. I am letting go, and I think I have been for a while, but I'm letting go of trying. So I'm a good trier. I try hard. If something doesn't work, I'll try another way. If that doesn't work, I'm going to look at it from this angle and maybe this will work. Again, very masculine, nothing wrong with that masculine ability to problem solve, but it's assuming there's a problem. And the feminine in me knows there is no problem. There's only what's happening right now, and it's okay. So I want to let go of that driver, trying as my driver, and again, instead, let it be supported by something that's coming from a deeper, deeper place in me than trying to make it, even this ritual, trying to make the ritual great. I'm trying to let it come through me. And I'm trusting that everyone, if they open to it, it will be great because it's whatever you make of it. It's your own experience. And I want to honor that. Who am I to know what you need? I don't. I don't think any of us do, even sometimes with ourselves. So how can you make that assumption? But what I do know is when you honor and value trying and the present moment, trying is a concept that says I have to do A, B, or C to be okay on some level. And I'm letting go of that one. That be gone.
Beautiful.
Well, I'd love to answer your question, Tasha, about
Okay.
consciousness. And ultimately, my perception there is our consciousness and its extent of our consciousness, wherever it's expanded to, whether it becomes a global consciousness, a oneness consciousness, whatever, is only as aware as our own consciousness is. So we can't expand anywhere further than we are ourselves personally.
Right.
So if my understanding of the world is only so big, that's all I'm going to understand until I learn more and expand it more so I can include more.
Right.
And then it just kind of keeps going on and on and on, almost like the ripples of a pond.
Right.
But I can't, if my consciousness is small and constricted, I'm not able to connect with the collective conscious, the global conscious, the universal consciousness, the spiritual consciousness anywhere near the same way, because that's as far as I can go.
Right.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, I get it.
Is one. And then you talk about letting go.
What are you letting go of?
I'm
Hopefully
letting,
you'll do the ritual with us.
we'll see. I think I'm busy that night, but I'm not sure. Well, you got lots going on. I'm letting go of just, that innate self-doubt that keeps coming up, especially in these times that have changed the opportunities and the things that have come up for me. It's just, I'm just keep moving forward. I don't have any time to even do that because everything's just happening. And I'm just saying yes. So I'm just letting go of, making even the excuses that I've made in the past for why I'm not doing things. And part of that is that, that word busy. Yeah, I'm looking for a new word for that because I find myself, I'm really busy. But, I'm so enjoying and active in my life and producing and creating so much that I don't even consider myself working. I'm
How
just
about
living.
full? My life is full.
Well, it's not full because there's room for so much more in it. Right? Thinking if it was full that there'd be no more room, but it's like, man, it just keeps ever expanding and I'm just finding new ways, to accommodate what's going on. So there's some challenges in there and a lot of great learning and everything that's been changing. And I love what you talk about trying because I think Master Yoda said it best in The Empire Strikes Back.
Go.
Do or do not. There is no try. You either do something or you don't. It's simple. Right? Try is a word that I like to eliminate out of my vocabulary as much as possible. So I completely relate and understand with what you're saying there. So.
And we only have a couple of minutes. So Daniela, what for you? What are you going to let go of?
Well, for me, something that's been my biggest blessing, but at the same time a curse, is my ability, my gift to connect with people and create amazing relationships and connections, and which I love. But sometimes, therefore, they're not for a lifetime. They're for a season. They're for a chapter. And I have a hard time letting go because my brain, my masculine is telling me that's not okay. That's wrong. You have to. Where my heart, and I struggle to drop in my heart and allow for things that are done to just move forward, to just move. And so really letting go of relationships, connections that are taking space, and it's time to let them go.
Sounds like then you'd be surrendering to intuition and just letting yourself follow that. Yeah. So final words. Again, the event is Friday, May 8th. We're going to have a link on consciousliving.radio.org. We're going to have it on onestoptherapy.ca.
CA.
And the cost is, Daniela?
$15.
$15, so super easy, from 7:30 till 9. And if you've got a problem with $15, we're open to that too, because this is not about, making money. It is about, covering our costs for sure. But I want it open to everybody who wants to participate. And the cameras will be off. Like, we might start with the camera on, but I need you to know that it'll be a personal, private ceremony in your own space. You don't need to think people are looking at you. You can go in very, very deeply for that hour and a half with this incredible music. Final words
And
to inspire.
Can I say one thing, if I may?
Sure.
Before with the final words. First off, I just want to say I shared all of the links. Anybody watching on Facebook below, I've shared all the links down below in the comments for if you want to get to know Tasha some more and find more about her work. Her links there. Daniela's links are there. Faiza's links are there. And links to the event are there in the Facebook group right now as well. And probably by the end of tomorrow, it'll be up on consciousliving.radio.org. We'll have all the information there. And of course, those who get our emails will get that information with them as well.
You're awesome.
And what I want to share, if there's any doubt for anybody in doing an online event, especially now, I want to share that we've done a couple of really powerful ceremonies with Stephen Gray and meditations online the past couple of Saturdays. And they've gotten better all the time. And the feedback and what people are saying can actually happen, and the connection and the transformation that can occur in an online event, it's real. It's tangible. You can feel it. Mm-hmm. And, when everybody gets in on that same vibration, magic happens. We don't have to be, I like to use the words physically distant, because this allows us to be socially close while we're being physically distant. Because you talk about NLP, Tasha, let's be socially close, people, and physically distant, but don't underestimate.
We're going to be energetically connected deeply.
Don't
underestimate. And we only have 2 minutes, so
we have a couple
1
more,
minute.
Actually, but it's okay. Don't underestimate the power of a great online event.
How many minutes do we have then? Because I see 1. What do you see?
We started officially about 11 minutes ago. So we do have a few more minutes if you'd like to share.
Okay, we've got a few more minutes. Thank you, Mark, because I was going from, the time that we had set this Zoom call for. Great.
Exactly. No problem. I'm keeping track.
You're masculine. See, that's another great quality of the masculine. It creates this container that is on time. All right, well, Daniela.
I've been learning about how to keep track of all of these things. So I'll put a note in the comments. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Daniela, what do you talked about what you're letting go of. What are your final words to invite people to May 8th, 7:30 to 9 on Zoom? What do you want to say? Final words.
I just want to say that we are so grateful to create a community for you. We are so excited to give you something new. It might not actually be new for you, but we're excited to give you our version of it and welcome you into a safe and loving and magical community.
Thanks. Faiza?
I'm just so excited, and I think especially for anyone who's a beginner and anyone who's just starting to heal themselves and grow and lean into the discomfort, this is the perfect event, and it's going to be so much fun, and it's going to be so releasing and so healing, and we'll all be there. So any kind of questions, absolutely reach out, and I really look forward to it.
Mm-hmm. We're happy to talk. And I honestly, I don't know. I didn't think of this being for beginners, because the whole concept for me of beginner and someone who's been doing it for years, when you actually enter your body and this field of love and acceptance, there is no time. So beginner is irrelevant. The way you experience this process will be perfect for you. And the depth you go to will be governed by your own intuition, your own knowing of what you have to let go of and who you want to, how you want to experience this life, really. I mean, you're the authority. And so I think those are my final words. I really encourage everyone to challenge assumptions. I have a few places where my body goes still, like I get reactive, and one is around assumptions. They really contract me. And I suggest that everyone take a look and wonder, percolate on what is the feminine in me? What is the masculine? Challenge the assumptions that we've been trained to perceive, because we're not our roles. We're not what we do. What is energy even? Because that's what we're going to be working with, and how we're all energy beings. We are interconnected. If you're not feeling that, it's just the head. The head is designed to be separate and analyze and figure things out separate. But there's a way to marry the two, and that's part of the deep, deep work we're doing. So Dancing with the Moon will soothe you. Again, you could just be part of it and let this, you could lie down and let the music wash over you. Or you enter the process, the ritual, you create a sacred space, you prepare to let go and go into a very deep, deep way of tapping into the divine feminine, using the power of the moon, anchored into the power of the earth. And so you can feel your own passion, purpose, and calling. So thank you
Beautifully said.
guys. Thank you for showing up today. And I'm looking forward to more online madness and fun and frivolity. And I think that's the other thing I love. Please have fun with this and play, and it can be light and beautiful and exciting. Okay, so thank you guys, and we're going to leave you with beautiful chorus again, and this one's called Infinite Universe. I suggest, if you can, close your eyes, take a big deep breath, and just let the music enter you and see where you go. So thanks, and catch you next week.
Thank you, Tasha.